Gotta make FL Studio drums sound good. Alright, this is gonna be a fucking journey, man. I'm not used to using Mac at all.
Welcome to the channel.
Hello,
My name's Tyler,
I'm Brandon.
and we make music.
We do. I go by as 8-Bit Color,
And I go by Tyler Rains.
and we make music.
Yeah, I've been producing for about 14 years, and I use exclusively FL Studio. I have not even really tried to dabble in other DAWs because I feel like FL Studio does everything I need it to. Wait, no, I don't remember what you did.
Yeah, no, that's alright. No, and then. It's very vibey.
Brandon uses FL Studio too, but I'll let you talk about that.
I also do use FL Studio. I'm trying to kind of like figure out how to make it less CPU intensive when it comes to producing metal music, because that's where kind of like my roots are. I started out in bands when I was like 14. I transitioned into producing when I was about 19, so it's been about do the math. I can't do the math right now. It's been about like 4 years-ish. And I also dabble in with Cubase just because it is less CPU intensive and also easy to work with audio. And in comparison, FL Studios can be kind of finicky. Other than that, we both on the same page.
I feel like a really like distorted like 808.
So some
Would
heavy trap
sound-
drums is what you're saying.
Yeah.
If you want to come up with an 808 pattern, I'll do the drums, maybe.
All right. Yeah, I like that. Something to touch on too is there's definitely an area where we mutually kind of work on some of the same kind of sounding stuff, but we also come from kind of different backgrounds as far as like genres that we work in. When I first started producing music, I was 17 and I was listening to a lot of electronic music, a lot of like Euro dance, and I was really inspired by Bass Hunter's music after I read that he makes everything himself. And I was like, how can I do that? Like, how can I be like a one-man band, basically? So I found out that he uses FL Studio, and I'm like, okay, cool, how do I get that? And yeah, I started teaching myself how to do that via many YouTube tutorials.
Yeah, I feel like it's also just super beginner friendly. It's designed for you to create and not worry about the technical aspects until later. Alright, this is gonna be a fucking journey, man. I'm not used to using Mac at all. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna be able to teach you a lot of shortcuts.
Yeah.
I mean, you already know where the snare goes, right? So
Yeah.
I want to just translate this across the entire piano roll here. So I'm gonna hit Command for Mac users, Control for PC, and then B.
Oh. I don't feel like you would ever feel too advanced of a producer to use FL Studio.
Some of the best stock plugins too that I've ever used. They have some ones that are like, okay, this is terrible, but like they have some like fruity reverb too. I mean, through all of this, we've have some parallels that we draw from each other, especially vibe or sound wise. We both like super sad things, vibey things. We love synthy things, you know? We love reverb.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of why I was excited to start this channel, just because we both just all come over like whenever we have like a hangout with our group of friends, and then we just start talking about music things, and people get mad at us because it's time to play board games, but like we're over here like, oh, I just got this new reverb, like it's crazy. Oh, I just learned this new technique. A big thing we really wanted to touch on with this video is something I've been struggling with recently, and I know Tyler's related to it also because we've talked about it previously before. My main theme, I guess, that I keep coming back to is trust your own process.
Still going?
Still going.
Okay.
Just making sure. Okay.
Nice.
So yeah, trust your own process. And what that means is, since I come from a band background, working with people can be amazing, but at the same time can also be kind of hindering, just because you'll start making something, like you have something in your head and at first it's coming out weird, and the other people around you might be like, hey, it kind of sounds like shit.
Yeah, we've kind of already decided we're going in this direction.
And like that can kind of ruin the mood for things, whereas you're asking them basically to trust your process. It's something you build with people, whereas with yourself, you can just literally be making super weird stuff and not have to worry about judgment other than your own self, you know? So you can try weird things, and those weird things might lead into something crazy, but at the same time, like, you can also do the same thing to yourself and be like, oh, this whole thing I'm making just sucks. And it's not gonna improve, it can't change, it can't get any better. Like, I can't go anywhere from this.
Yeah, I feel like there can be strength and weakness in relying on just working by yourself or relying on just working with other people. I feel like there's a lot to learn with both. A lot of things that can really, really help you, and a lot of things that can also kind of hold you back. So Brandon's someone who has a lot of experience working with other people, but also by himself. And I'm someone who has a lot less experience working with other people. I've kind of kept myself in the little comfort bubble of just kind of doing everything on my own, which I am really comfortable with, but I also acknowledge that that can hold me back in a lot of ways too, if I'm not willing to work with other people, or, you know, if I'm too uncomfortable with that. So that's something I'm trying to kind of break out of a little bit, and yeah.
Yeah, and I guess a big thing, of reason why I said like trusting your process can be kind of a hindrance is just because like that whole thing in itself can be the one thing that keeps you from creating, and have been struggling with this for the past few years, just because I've struggled myself to get back on track musically. I used to be very efficient in creating music, playing shows, putting music out, and I feel like as I've gotten more advanced in skill, I've gotten a lot harder on myself, and I am more of a critique on myself than I was before, when I was just able to just trust myself and make something out of the fun of it, no pressure. It's just like almost kind of a beginner's ignorance, if that makes sense. It's like when you first start out, like most of the stuff you make is like, oh, this sounds cool, like I've never done this before, this is really cool, and you kind of just make it and you don't care about it. You're not like,
everything's exciting.
Yeah, everything's exciting to you, and like you kind of lose that mentality as the more you get better at making things, because you start to understand structuring, you start to understand like just like the art of producing in general, especially when you're listening to other people's work. Like things start to kind of make sense more, and even then it starts to dilute even more to the point where it's like, oh well, I want to make stuff like this, but I don't even know, like I'm just so stuck in my like routine in producing. How can I get to that next level that these people are up? Because I guess you're more aware of like the process that you're in. I feel like as music producers, we don't sketch like a drawer would or a painter would. You know, a drawer, a sketcher, or a painter will sit down, just to sketch, you know? Like, it's not necessarily like, oh, I'm gonna make this next piece to put in my museum or online on my shop or anything like that. It's just a matter of like, I'm feeling inspired right now, or I'm just like gonna draw right now. Why not? And I think we failed to realize that it's okay to just do that even if we don't make something that we end up using, or even in the aspect that a lot of the times those things turn into things that we end up using and end up being great.
Yeah. So to summarize the video, depression and anxiety don't define your creative potential. It's okay to hit roadblocks. They're not a reflection of your abilities. Trust your process.